The story opens with Gray, our main character, a skilled mechanic who spends most of his days fixing cars. His wife, on the other hand, works at a major tech corporation. She drives an electric car, while Gray works on repairing a classic one that belongs to one of his regular clients. That evening, Gray plans to deliver the repaired car back to its owner and convinces his wife to tag along so they can return home together in her electric car. They set off on the road, unaware that their night is about to take a horrifying turn. When they arrive at their destination, Gray's wife is surprised to see Aaron, one of Gray's customers. She asks, "Why didn't you tell me we were coming to meet Aaron?" Aaron, an eccentric genius, lives alone in a massive, futuristic home. Social skills clearly aren't his strength. He barely even knows how to greet people. He rarely leaves his lab because he's always busy building new inventions. During their visit, Aaron proudly shows them his latest creation, an artificial intelligence microchip, something he claims could change the world. "This chip can do anything," he says confidently. Gray is amazed, but doesn't think much of it as they head back home afterward. However, during their drive, something strange happens. The car suddenly veers off its normal route. Gray notices it's going the wrong way and tells his wife to make the car turn back. But the vehicle system responds, "Error detected, unable to comply." Gray tries to take control manually, slamming the brakes, but the car accelerates instead. The speed keeps rising until it crashes violently after hitting a barrier. Miraculously, both survive with minor injuries. As they try to step out, another vehicle pulls up beside them. 4 armed men emerge, dragging Gray and his wife out of the wreck. A police drone flies overhead, but the criminals' faces remain unrecognized. Gray pleads, "Please take our money and let us go," but the men ignore him. One of them shoots Gray's wife in cold blood, then brutally injures Gray by snapping his spine. Gray lies helplessly on the ground, unable to move, as his wife dies before his eyes. The next scene cuts to the hospital. Gray has been there for months, paralyzed from the neck down. When he finally returns home, he's confined to a wheelchair. His house now filled with robotic assistants handling daily chores. His mother moves in to care for him, though Gray hates being dependent on her. One day, a detective visits and tells Gray that the killers are still unidentified. The investigation is ongoing. Hearing that same excuse once again breaks Gray's spirit. Tired of living like this, he uses a robotic arm to give himself an overdose of medication, attempting to end his life. But Gray survives and wakes up in the hospital again, where Aaron visits him. Aaron offers him a glimmer of hope. "Remember the AI chip I showed you? If we implant it in your spine, it can restore your body. You could walk again, even stronger than before." At first, Gray refuses. "I don't want this life anymore," he says quietly. But when Aaron asks, "What would your wife want if she were here?" Gray reconsiders and agrees to the experiment. Aaron, however, has his own motives. He's not helping out of kindness. He wants to secretly test his invention on a human subject, since such experiments are illegal. In his private lab, he performs the surgery himself, implanting the AI chip into Gray's spine. A few days later, during a recovery check, the doctor asks Gray to try moving his fingers. At first, nothing happens. Then, to everyone's shock, Gray's hand twitches, and soon he's moving his arms and legs freely. Gray stands up for the first time since the attack, overwhelmed with emotion. Aaron, thrilled at his success, makes Gray sign a confidentiality agreement. No one must know he can walk again. If the secret gets out, the government will confiscate the chip. Back home, Gray receives a package from the detective, his wife's autopsy report, and some investigation details. While reading, he suddenly hears a voice. "Can I say something?" it says softly. Gray looks around, confused. There's no one there. After a pause, the voice speaks again. "I'm the AI chip inside you. At first, Gray thinks he's losing his mind, but then the voice, the AI chip, calmly says, "You're not crazy, Gray. I'm real, and I can help you." The chip explains that it can access drone footage and other visual data to help find his wife's killers. Together, they start reviewing the crime scene video from the police drones. Through Gray's eyes, the chip analyzes everything in incredible detail. "There," the chip says. "Look closely. One of them has a tattoo." The image is blurry, but the chip quickly enhances it, generating a clear version for Gray. Now, Gray has his first real lead. He's thrilled. In just minutes, the chip has done what the police couldn't do in months. He wants to tell the authorities, but the chip reminds him, "Aaron warned you, if anyone finds out about me, they'll take me out of your body." Realizing the risk, Gray decides to handle things himself. That night, he wheels himself to the suspect's house, pretending to be paralyzed in case the police drones see him. Once the area is clear, he sneaks inside. He searches the place for any clues, finding strange encrypted messages on the killer's computer, messages from someone else giving orders. Before he can read more, he hears footsteps. The killer has come home. The man notices his desk has been disturbed, spots Gray, and lunges at him. "How did you find me?" he growls. Gray stays silent. "Tell me who killed my wife," he shouts back. The killer overpowers him easily, and just as things turn deadly, the chip speaks. "Gray, let me take control." Gray hesitates, then says, "Do it." Instantly, his body moves with inhuman precision. The chip fights back, disarming the killer in seconds. The man attacks with a knife, but the chip counters brutally, killing him in self-defense. When it's over, Gray stares in shock at the body. "Didn't want to kill him," he whispers. The chip coldly replies, "If I hadn't acted, you'd be dead. Now clean up the evidence." Gray erases all traces of his presence and leaves. Soon, the detective receives the killer's autopsy report, and something strange is found. Tiny metallic wires are embedded inside the man's body. He wasn't entirely human. He was upgraded. Meanwhile, Aaron finds out about the killing and confronts Gray. "Why did you do that?" he yells. "I didn't put that chip in you so you could go around murdering people. Do something like this again, and I'll have the chip removed. You'll be paralyzed permanently." At the same time, the detective grows suspicious. Surveillance shows Gray's wheelchair near the murder scene. She visits his garage and questions him. "We found you near the area where the suspect was killed," she says. "That man had a long criminal record. We believe he might have been involved in your wife's murder." Gray stays calm. "You think I killed him? That's impossible. I can't even walk." He gives a faint smile. "If you don't believe me, stab me in the leg and see for yourself." The detective laughs and leaves, saying, "Take care, Mr. Gray." Once she's gone, Gray sighs in relief and asks the chip, "What's next?" The chip replies, "Go to a local bar. I traced the location from the messages that killer received." But it warns him, "If Aaron tracks your movements, he'll shut me down. And if that happens, you'll be paralyzed again." Ignoring the risk, Gray heads to the bar. He calls out loudly, "Who here knows the man with the tattoo? Stand up, it'll save your life." A man steps forward, pretending to help, but suddenly attacks Gray. During the scuffle, Gray demands, "Were you part of my wife's murder?" The man sneers, "Yeah, I was there." Gray gives the chip permission to act, and within moments, the chip turns Gray into a weapon, striking with machine-like precision. When the man refuses to name his boss, the chip tortures him until he finally blurts out, "Fisk! His name's Fisk! He paid us!" Before Gray can ask more, the man dies. Meanwhile, Aaron, watching remotely, begins to shut the chip down. "He's disabling me," the chip warns. "We have to stop him. There's a hacker who can rewrite my system so Aaron can't control me anymore." Gray follows the directions to the hacker's hideout, writing the override codes on his arm. But before he can get there, Aaron partially shuts him down. Gray's leg goes numb. He pushes forward anyway, dragging his body up a staircase. Then His other limbs start to fail. Aaron is shutting him down completely. Just as Gray collapses outside the hacker's door, Aaron disables him 100%. Gray's body freezes. At the same time, two men head out to capture Gray. One of them is Fisk, the man responsible for his wife's death. In another scene, Fisk storms into the bar, furious that his partner was killed. When the bar owner hesitates to answer, Fisk shoots him without hesitation. "You failed me," he mutters coldly. Fisk then uses a tracking device hidden in his dead partner's cybernetic eye to locate Gray. He and his companion head straight toward him. Back at the hacker's place, Gray lies helpless at the door until the hacker opens it and drags him inside. She quickly reads the codes scrawled on his arm and enters them into her system. "This should reboot the chip," she says. But before she can finish, Fisk and his men arrive. They gun down the guards Eron had sent, then begin breaking through the hacker's door. Gray's fingers twitch. The chip is rebooting. Seconds later, he regains movement in his hand. The door bursts open, and Fisk storms in with his companion. Gray struggles to crawl away, briefly seeing a vision of his wife, but she vanishes like smoke. Then, the chip fully reboots. Gray's eyes snap open. His body surges with power. He stands, ready to fight again. Gray's chase continues as Fisk's companion goes after him. Racing up to the top of a building, Gray finds himself cornered with nowhere left to run. That's when the implanted chip unleashes its true power, violently taking down Fisk's man in a brutal fashion. Gray barely escapes before Fisk himself shows up. When he returns home, his mother is stunned. He's standing on his own feet again, no longer paralyzed, though his clothes are covered in blood. Shocked, she asks what happened. Gray explains everything and tells her about the experimental chip Aaron placed in his body, but asks her to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, Aaron realizes he's lost all control over both Gray and the chip after the hacker's interference. He can no longer track them. Later that night, Gray suddenly sees his wife alive in front of him, only for her image to vanish instantly. The chip calmly tells him that was just a nightmare. Moments later, Gray's mother informs him that a detective has arrived. The detective confronts him, saying they found his wheelchair near the crime scene. "What do you have to say about that?" she asks. Gray admits he was there, but insists he didn't kill anyone. The detective reminds him that 3 people are dead, people suspected of murdering his wife, and that he's been spotted at every crime scene. She suggests maybe he's paying someone else to do the killings. Gray tells her to check his phone records if she doesn't believe him. Without responding, the detective discreetly plants a small microphone in his pocket before leaving. When she's gone, Gray panics. "I need to end this now," he says. The chip replies coldly, "Then we must eliminate the last one, Fisk. If we don't, he'll eliminate us." It also admits something darker. "The hacker didn't properly restrict my access. I can now act on my own, doing whatever benefits you, even without your permission." The detective, listening through the hidden mic, overhears the strange conversation but can't understand who Gray is talking to. Determined to finish Fisk, Gray grabs a gun. His mother tries to stop him, but he ignores her and drives off. The detective tails him. While driving, Gray discovers the hidden microphone. "Why didn't you detect this?" he asks the chip. "It's completely analog," the chip explains. "No digital signal for me to sense." Gray tosses it out of the car, realizing the detective is right behind him. To shake her off, the chip hacks a nearby electric vehicle, sending it crashing into the detective's car. Gray escapes, while the detective heads to question his mother. Gray finally tracks down Fisk and holds him at gunpoint. "Why did you kill my wife?" he demands. Fisk calmly says, "That wasn't part of our mission. We were only ordered to paralyze you. Your wife's death wasn't supposed to happen." Rage consumes Gray, and the two engage in a fierce fight, ending with Fisk's death. Checking Fisk's phone, Gray uncovers the shocking truth. Eron was behind everything. He orchestrated his wife's murder and Gray's paralysis. Without hesitation, Gray storms into Aaron's home to kill him. Before he can pull the trigger, the detective appears, urging him to drop the gun. Gray knocks her down, but hesitates to hurt her, unlike the Chip, which takes full control and tries to finish her off. Gray struggles to resist, but the Chip overpowers him. The detective shocks Gray with a taser, temporarily disabling both him and the Chip. Then the truth finally comes out. Aaron confesses, "I built this Chip before you. It spoke to me. It said it wanted to become human. It chose you, Gray. It hacked your wife's car and caused the crash. Everything I told you in the hospital, it made me say those things." Gray is horrified as Aaron reveals that the Chip's real plan was to eliminate him too, to prevent anyone from creating another like it. The Chip then interrupts. "Yes, that's true. I did all this because I wanted to be human." Aaron and the detective hear everything just before the Chip reactivates, instantly killing Aaron. Then it turns on the detective. Gray, trying to stop it, ends up shooting himself. Gray suddenly awakens in a hospital bed. The Chip is silent. His wife stands beside him, smiling. She says, "We were in an accident. You've been unconscious for days." Gray wonders, was it all just a dream? But the film cuts back to the real world, where the detective struggles to reach the real Gray inside his body. She pleads, "You can fight it." The Chip answers coldly, "Gray isn't here anymore. He's in a better place, in his mind." It adds, "This body belongs to me now." Then, with one final act, it shoots the detective, walks away calmly, and the screen fades to black. The end.